Hi everyone, welcome back to the Web3 channel. My name is Zach. In this video, we're going to be looking at a disastrous potentially provision in a new US bill that is not exactly going very well when it comes to a crypto policy advocacy group. Let's go into it. According to Coin Center Director, the proposed bill would essentially bypass existing checks and balances on the Treasury Secretary's authority in surveilling financial institutions, including crypto firms. So let's get into it. Jerry Brito, the Executive Director of Coin Center, suggested US residents called their elected officials over possible privacy and due process concerns in a new bill proposed by House leaders. According to a Wednesday Twitter thread from Brito, the America Competes Act recently released by House members contains a provision that he said would be disastrous for crypto users from both a privacy and a due process standpoint. According to the director, a section of the bill on the prohibitions or conditions on certain transmittal of funds proposed by Representative Jim Himes would give the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury unchecked and unilateral power to ban exchanges and other financial institutions from engaging in crypto transactions. Let's have a quick look at what Jerry Brito actually tweeted out here, because I think this is important. Included in the America Competes Act just introduced in the House, and which I was going to say White House, and which will very likely pass in some form, is a provision that would be disastrous not just for crypto but for privacy and due process generally. We're looking at, of course, Congress finds the following: the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network is a financial, okay, this isn't exactly giving us what we need. The so-called special measures provision proposed by Jahimes would essentially give the Treasury Secretary unchecked and unilateral power to ban exchanges and other financial institutions from engaging in crypto transactions. Looking at it right here, I guess. So this provision streamlines the process by which special measures may be introduced and modernizes the authorities granted to the Financial Crimes Enforcement by allowing the agency to pursue bad actors like those laundering the proceeds of Chinese ransomware and or declared a primary money laundering concern due to support to NK's sanctions evasion. The provision is similar to an amendment offered by the same person, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2022, which passed the House. Bank Secrecy Act 5318A allows the Secretary to identify a primary money laundering concern and take special measures. Special measures authority is vast power that the Secretary of the Treasury has today, so in the current statute that there are checks on that power. First, the law requires that Treasury engage in a public rulemaking before instituting a prohibition. Second, the Secretary can impose a surveillance special measure through a simple order, but its duration is limited to 120 days and must be accompanied by a public rulemaking. While not full due process, these limitations at least alert the public and gives the public some opportunity to comment on a special measure's merit or constitutionality. The new provision would do three things: add certain transmittal of funds to the list of things that can be banned by the Secretary, eliminate all public notice and comment requirements, eliminate the 120-day limitation for measures imposed through regulations. Let's go through this. I think it's important. So let's go through it. International counter money laundering requirements. The Secretary of the Treasury may, by order, regulation, or otherwise as permitted by law, require domestic financial institutions and domestic financial agencies to take one or more of the special measures described in subsection B if the Secretary finds that reasonable grounds exist for concluding that a jurisdiction outside of the US, one or more financial institutions operating outside of the US, one or more classes of transactions within or involving a jurisdiction outside the US, or one or more types of accounts is of primary money laundering concern. Let's go forward. If adopted into law, this provision would be a disaster not just for crypto but for privacy and democratic public process related to all types of financial transactions. It empowers the Secretary to prohibit any or indeed all crypto transactions without any process, rulemaking, or limitation on the duration of the prohibition. This provision was first introduced as an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act for last year by Rep. After alerting folks in the House and Senate of that amendment and intended consequences, it was removed from the final bill that passed. Unfortunately, it's back verbatim without any improvements. It still strips out all administrative process and duration limitations on the Secretary's power to condition or prohibit transactions at financial institutions associated with primary money laundering concerns. And then they are asking you to call your member of Congress. Under the proposed framework, the Treasury Secretary, that's such a hard, for some reason, term for me to pronounce, would be able to employ the Bank Secrecy Act to require certain financial institutions to report information around transactions potentially connected to money laundering, as well as prohibit them from serving account holders with alleged ties to illicit funds. The provision acting to Brito would essentially bypass the existing checks and balance on the Treasury Secretary authority in this area. The America Competes Act cited cryptocurrencies being used for payments in ransomware attacks on US-based companies. Removing restrictions from the Treasury Department's Special Methods Authority could have significant implications for individuals and companies operating in the crypto space, according to Brito and Coin Center Research Director Peter Van Valkenburg. The law would hand the Treasury Secretary unchecked discretion to forbid financial institutions, including crypto exchanges, from offering their customers access to crypto networks. The Secretary may not use this discretion immediately, but it is not the power the department should have. The balance between regulating crypto, providing pseudo-anonymity for users, and working innovative technology into existing financial systems is a delicate one. Brito's call to have followers contact their representatives over potential privacy concerns may have some merit, given current Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's views on the space. During her confirmation hearing in January 21, she said crypto represents a particular concern for the US Treasury, associating many token projects with illicit financing and money laundering. Not exciting, not great, but probably and very much so important to be aware of. And hopefully, we know that we're going to be seeing regulation and stuff, but we need it to make sense, right? And hopefully we will have, it's going to be a due process. Realistically, this is going to take a while. They're not going to get it right the first time, but we need to see some level of, communication and it being done properly, basically, which, to be fair, some representatives seem to be on board with that. So we'll see what happens. That being said, this is the Web3 channel covering everything happening in the Web3 space, whether it's crypto, NFT news, or metaverse news in general. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you in the next Web3 video.